Well, hello, everyone. I got a question for you all. When it comes to building a platform, tell me, what do you think is more powerful? Is it the personality? Is it the authority? Is it the content? What do you resonate with? So, for those of you who are out there starting to build your platform, there's some content types that I'm going to share with you on tonight to help you to thrive more and make a greater impact and really empower those on the other side receiving your content. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the power of platforms. I'm your host, Cassandra Jolliff. Thank you for watching. I'm also a purpose branding strategist and a media online entrepreneur coach. And so I am delighted that you are watching. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, you know I want you to spread the love. So that means I need for you to do a couple of things. Spread the love means share and share like. Also, feel free to ask questions and make sure you comment as well. So let's get this party started. I'm going to talk to you tonight a little bit around the power of platforms. And there's so many platforms out there, right? Which one should I show up on? How often do I need to show up on? I totally get it. Well, there are some rules to this game, and I'll be sharing those with you coming up as we continue in the platform series. But tonight, we are going to be discussing on the show about what types of content that you need to consider when you are building your platform or expanding your platform. So some of you already have platforms out there. I know some of you all been watching and following you as well. And thank you for following back. I appreciate that. You can find me on Instagram, of course, Facebook, and YouTube as well, and LinkedIn and Pinterest and Twitter. But I think I'm going to build my platform primarily on these three platforms currently, and that is YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. I will be considering, stepping up my game on LinkedIn, but I'm going to use that in a more strategic way. And we'll talk about which platforms you need to have certain strategies with. So let's get right down to it. So let's talk about content. When you're thinking about content, what types of content can you share? What types of content can you share? One of the things that you can do, and let me see, tonight I am producing the show, so listen, bear with me on the tech piece, okay? Let's see here. Yes, let me just expand. And we're going to see if this is going to work out the way I planned it. Let's see. And so far, not. So let's see. Let's see here. Give me one, por favor. All right. Let's go with this, and then I'll see if I can blow that up. All right. Okay, so I'm going to share with you on the screen. Hope this works. Let's see what happens. Well, it's going to be a little funky, but that's okay, because I'd rather for you to know it or be aware of it than not. So let's see if this works. Okay, let's see if that happens. Not quite, but follow me if you would. So let me just share with you on the screen here. Bam, let's see. Yeah, there we go. 5 types of content. Okay, so 5 types of content that you need to be aware of is content that educates. We'll talk about that in a moment. Inspire, call to action, shock factor, and social intrigue. So let's talk about number 1, educate. Now, all of us have something that we need to share. And now I'm speaking primarily to those of you who are influencers. And let me explain to what I mean by that, influencers. When we hear the word influencers, we automatically think social media, but you don't have to be an influencer to be known on social media exclusively. You are an influencer if you are, here it is, you ready? A pastor or a minister of some kind, an educator, of course, of some kind. It could be a journalist. It's whatever your profession is that you want to get, once again, share that on your platform. So how is it that you educate? In my case, I'm talking about those who want to create their purpose on a platform. And that's using the power of media okay, new media as well as traditional forms of media, television, radio, publications, and then of course new media as we refer to social media outlets, live streaming, videos, podcasts, and all that jazz. So you can use those platforms to educate people around the topics that either interest you and preferably interest your listener. You want to make sure you're attracting the right target market that you want to, or your audience that you want to share your content with. So your content can educate people. The next is inspire. Oh my gosh, that's a great one. If you don't know where to start, you can always share content that inspires people, stories, what's happening in the world, things that are like heroic stories or things that you can learn from, even if they're I made a major mistake, but what's the outcome? So things of that nature you want to use to inspire people with. A post. One of my clients wrote a really inspirational post a few days ago, and I was like, OMG, my goodness. So I shared it on, and it was video content, and I shared that on my Cassandra Jolliffe page. So if you want to check that out, go ahead and check that out. Her name is Sarah, and she's from New Zealand, and she just took a moment out to just share inspirational as well as some educational content. So that kind of gives you an idea of the easiest form of content, if you don't know where to start, is to start with inspiration. The next is call to action. You want people, okay, to get involved, get engaged, all right, with you and your content. So what is that content call to action is? Okay, so let me just use an example here. If you are a speaker and you want to have people to take action to sign up for your next virtual event, right? Of course, most people are now meeting virtually more than ever. We might have people out there that are doing in-person events, but I think for the most part, for safety's sake, we're all looking at virtual events. And so in that, you may have a call to action on one of your lives that you're doing and sharing about your event, where they need to register, giving them the link, giving them access. That call to action may be something simple like that, or it could be even much more simpler than that. And that is, hey, comment, make a share, like. That is all calls to action, sharing that content and then asking the viewer to do something with it on your behalf. Next is the shock factor. OMG, my goodness. So we all know of shock factors. Somebody that comes to mind with me is, I just had his name. He's the DJ. Okay, right now I'll just use Rush Limbaugh. Okay. I wanted to use somebody else, but right now what's coming to my mind is Rush Limbaugh. So Rush Limbaugh, as you guys probably know, some of you might know, he is a political commentator, very traditional in his thought process. And he just comes to play in his personality with just saying the most shocking things. Some things that he speaks on are either facts, or they are truths, or they are not as factual. It just depends on where the content is coming from. And some people say not as factual because did he share all the facts? Is he leaving something out? So that's why I said that. But the key thing is that some people have shock factor. Let me also probably bring somebody to your mind just on the entertainment scene. When I think of people like Cardi B, you know, she has an element of shock factor to her. The way she talks, what she says, the type of content that she shares as well. So you can have content that goes out, and it doesn't have to be even positioned in a negative way. All right. So when we hear the word shock factor, we tend to think on the negative side, but not all content, you guys, is shock factor that's negative. There is some positive shock factor. Okay. Case in point, we are looking at video content in the form of art. Michael Jackson, OMG, such an artist. His videos were shocking. He brought things into play that mankind hadn't even seen yet, right? And so he brought an element of shock factor in his videos. Then there's something we want to talk about in terms of content is social intrigue. Now, let me back up before I go to social intrigue. Social intrigue, what I mean by that um, is that social intrigue could be something that gets people's attention and cause them to want to know, watch you more, listen to you more, or inquire of you. So social intrigue could be something as simple as, this is not probably the best example, but I want the better way to do it is to say something like, um, got milk. Now, that's not necessarily social intrigue, but what it did do, it stopped us to in our tracks to say, "What do you mean, got milk? What is got milk?" There's certain ads that get your attention by the way they deliver what they say and how they deliver it. I did a show once. The title was Shift Happens. And if you're not careful, you can interpret it in a different manner. It was social intrigue with a little bit of shock factor to it because of the word shift happens, or the words shift happens together. You've heard the other phrase. I'm not using the other phrase, but it did cause viewers to take a look at the show because of the title of the show. So that delivered both shock factor, that also delivered social intrigue. And then of course I had to educate on the other side of that title, because people were like, what is she really saying? And then of course there was an inspirational to that. And then of course I gave a call to action as well. So when you're thinking about doing your content, as I gracefully will try my best to come back on the screen here. Let's see what happens. Bam. I'm back. Thank you for watching. I appreciate that. Came out really pretty well. So keep that in mind when you, what makes your the power of a platform really good is that there's three things you want to take into consideration. Number one, you want to take in consideration your personality. Your personality, that makes the engagement, that makes the intrigue, that makes the content have even a greater impact to your audience when you bring out your personality. Now, my personality is, as you guys, if you've been watching a while, you know that I'm just this outgoing kind of person, bubbly, but I can be, a little straightforward when I need to be, and a little edgy every now and again, right? So my personality shows up on my platform. Okay, and I'm back. Sorry about that. Ellis, I had my device not connected to the power source. I thought I did, but apparently I didn't. So there you go. There's some shock factor for you there. So as I was saying, thank you guys for standing by, as my incredible friend Cindy Milligan says, please stand by. Okay, so let me get back to what I was saying about the power of your platform. What are elements that help you to have a powerful platform experience, and especially that for your viewers on the other side that are following you, that are sharing your content with the rest of the world? And that is personality. You got to bring your personality into the game of engagement. That is how you create connection with your audience. And if you are, I don't even like to kind of say introvert, extrovert, because sometimes people think that, in order for you to have a great show or a great platform or great live, you got to be all, extra over the top of personality and just the Energizer Bunny and super hilarious and all of that. And I'm not saying that you can't have those things, because you can. But there's sometimes people are just very chill, right? And they are very methodical in how they share their information, and their tone as well, and their body gestures and body movement and facial expressions. So personality, no matter how you're wired in terms of your personality, you got to make a connection with your audience through your personality. The next thing I would say that is incredibly important is the content that you share. That's the true power, that knowledge that you're sharing with your audience, finding out what's important to them and making sure that you deliver that. And the one thing I would say clearly is that give yourself some grace, because things do happen, like today. And this happens with me, you guys. If y'all been following long enough, y'all know I'll be having like tech issues and Cassandra issues and just stuff, right? But my point is that you got to keep going. And so with that, you're going to experience those challenges. But the key thing is your personality, your presence, how you show up, the aesthetics that you are showing with your show, how your background looks. Those things do take precedence. It is important that you have that. Now, I will say this. Here is the disclaimer. Do not let the background, stop you from delivering the content on the platform. Do not let the aesthetics stop you from delivering the content, the purposeful, needed content that your audience wants from you, because of the environment, the backdrop, what's going on, what I don't have. Do not allow that to stop you from delivering the content, because people are going to be attracted to what you have to say, all right, more so than how everything looks so professionally done or perfectly set and all that jazz. Now, let me also say, it shouldn't be looking like a pigsty, the background. Okay, so make sure you have your background looks good, all right, because that is a representation of you. And then stuff that you just, you don't have any control over, especially if you're shooting on location somewhere else, or maybe you're not shooting at your normal place and you're shooting in somebody else's space, and their space is their space, and so you do things differently and they do things differently, and the dog might run through, or something might fall down, or I don't know, things happen. So don't let the background, the aesthetics of your background, stop you from moving forward to getting that show done, getting that podcast or that vlogcast done, because that's the visual side of things, or doing that video. Okay. So we have personality, right? We have the power of the content, types of content that you bring to the table. And finally, the one thing that I want to share is that your presence. Now, what I mean by the presence is how you are showing up internally really does matter. How you showing up in the mental space, in the mental game, makes a difference. There are times where you can tell, though that you've been watching me for a long time, my audience knows me, has known me over the last year, ish. And the thing about that is they know when Cassandra is mindset was somewhere else versus, her putting her whole self into her show, all right, with her audience. So make sure that your presence shows up, just not you show up physically, right? But you need to bring your whole self. And that's past personality. That is your spirit. That's your mind, your emotions. Okay. All of that makes a difference and an impact. This is how you create the power that helps you to elevate your platform. Now, in my next video series, I'll be talking about not just the platforms, different platforms that you can use and why you want to use certain platforms. We're going to get into that, but I'm also going to share with you, what do you want to get out of doing the platform? Like, what's your end goal for being on a platform? Build authority, build credibility, inspire. What is the reason to grow your business? Is it to be famous? I hope it's not to be famous. Please don't let it just be that. People do. But that can only work for so long. At some point, that stuff is going to unravel and people are going to be able to see right through that early on in some cases, all right, with some people. And then it could take a little while for others, but it's going to ravel apart if you're just in the game to be famous. And that's not clearly, if anybody knows me long enough, that's not the case here. Is it likely to happen? If there's that possibility, I'm not going to deny that that's not possible. It's very possible, but that's not why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm doing what I'm doing because I really do enjoy being a communicator, being a speaker, being a host, influencing people, sharing my journey, as well as educating people in the area of purpose and entrepreneurship and faith and lifestyle. And so that's just my game. All right. That's what I do. And I enjoy it. It comes very natural for me. Doesn't mean that I don't have my challenges around it, because clearly you saw that a few moments ago when the screen went blank. And I'll be able to see that after I catch the replay. So for those of you who are watching the replay, thank you so much for taking out the time to watch the replay. Thank you for spreading the love, making sure that people that get an opportunity to see the episode. So make sure you do that as well. And on our next show that we're going to talk about the strategy for showing up live. Okay. Why are you showing up live? And creating a pathway, if you will, to making sure that when you do show up, it's yielding a result. Okay. Other than just saying, you know what, hey, I did the show, or I just went live, or I did the video series, or whatever the case may be. It has to be something of value that makes a difference. So I want to say hello to my little friend, Vashti. Thank you, Vashti. Yes, I miss you too. I am back in Dallas, you guys. I've been away for about a month, back in my hometown, visiting fam and all that jazz. And Demara, that was great. So, hey, friend, good to see you. Thank you for your support of the show. I appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to this week's show on Friday. So make sure you stay tuned. I will see you guys once again on Friday. Please share this. If you got any comments, any suggestions, all that jazz, you know what to do. Here's the call to action. Make sure you put the comments below. All right. Call to action is make sure you do me a super favor and spread the love, as I said before. And call to actions. If you got any questions, hey, get your questions answered. You know how to reach me. You can reach me on Instagram. Of course, you can reach me on Facebook, and you can also reach me on YouTube. So make sure you utilize those social media platforms to connect with me so that I can connect with you. As always, have significant success on purpose, your purpose. I'll see you guys soon.